a lot of the time, changing the perception has to come through us because non-Somalis have been changing the narrative. At the end of the day, all of these things, okay, mashallah, probably, yeah, you are talented and you're hardworking and you're trying to merge them two together.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask all these people, they will say to you, I'm changing the perception, or I'm changing how people view us. So if someone were to kill another person from a different tribe, those two things would happen. Either they would take revenge and they would agree upon it, or they would play blood money.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to the After Hours podcast. Today I've got a very special brother who's doing amazing things. Alhamdulillah. He goes by the name Mohamed Mohamud, and he's an author. Are you like officially an author now?
Yeah, I've been an author for a year and a half. Yeah,
mashallah, he's an author, and he's wrote a few books. I've got one of them here today, which he doesn't know about. What I'll do next, but can you sign it for me, bro?
Yeah, of course.
Do you get that? Do you get that?
Yeah, I do.
I'm the best one. Can you sign that for me?
Yeah, of course. I tend to write a message every time whenever someone.
Yes.
Does,
I'm not the first then.
Yeah,
I thought.
I always tend to do that because sometimes whenever I'm doing signings, a lot of the time people do generic messages. So thank you, I appreciate, or things like that. But I try to make it different every time.
That will change.
Yeah.
When you start getting 1 million people to sign, I think you'll be like.
Of course, that'll change it.
Yeah. next. Inshallah, hopefully you get to that stage.
Inshallah.
My brother Mohammed, thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Traveled a long way, so honestly, I'm humbled that you came. So tell us your story, man. How are you? Sorry. What's happening? How are you today?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a while since I've been to Birmingham. I've been here last 2 years ago. I think I told you there's a trend of London guys, getting married in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I didn't get the memo, but I got the memo now. Yeah. So
I see what you're doing. No, I like it. Put yourself out there, bro. Why not?
Yeah, of course. No, you have to.
No, I love it. So tell me about yourself, my bro.
Yeah, so my name is Mohamed, and I'm a founder of Somali Sideways. This is a project that I've been doing for a while, since 2014, actually. That's when the seed of the idea came about.
Okay.
And initially, the idea was to change the misconceptions on how the world views the Somali region and the people as a whole. Because obviously, with our country and our region as a whole, there's so many negative stereotypes. We always tend to get the generic negative connotations on piracy, famine, humanitarian disaster. Although obviously these are things that are happening, but the lens itself is only focusing on these aspects, but they're not focusing on the success, the achievements of Somalis, what they're doing in various fields, whether it's academia, publishing, writing, entrepreneurship, business, innovation. That's not being focused on. And there are so many Somalis that are doing all of that. So I'm trying to change the misconceptions on how non-Somalis view our region, and to obviously inspire young Somalis to pursue their dreams, essentially.
Don't you think it starts with us then? Because I understand what you're saying. I get it 100%. What you're trying to say. Because someone said to me the other day, are there pirates in Somalia?
Mm-hmm.
And there are.
Yeah.
So if they're looking at Somalis and assuming, they're pirates, it's only because we also publicize it. Like, if we, our own people, publicize the good stuff, the academia and all the amazing things that Somalis do, then others can also just, off the back of that, also do the same. So it's, in a way, starts with us, and I think that's what you're doing now. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And with regards to changing the narrative, I feel as though we are responsible. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And we are kind of perpetuating this notion of glamorizing this piracy and to some level.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, hadda now Ayalka Hafida, when they're doing music videos,
Yeah.
they tend to say all these lyrics saying, yeah, the land of pirates and all these kind of like, connotations.
Yeah.
And obviously, although you're probably trying to, do your own thing or, whatever it is, but that doesn't help the situation at all. And then not only that, there are also like non-Somalis who are like writers or they're at the pinnacle of their careers and they're publishing books. So this was one of the reasons why I decided to get into writing, and I shifted my project from a creative outlet, taking photos and sharing it on a social media platform, and then I shifted it to publishing and writing, is because a lot of the non-Somalis that I've seen, they always tend to focus on terrorism, they always tend to focus on famine, they tend to focus on all these negative connotations. And then, you see an Adan name, that's printed on the front cover.
Yeah.
And, you say, oh, yeah, they have 20 years experience being in East Africa, in the whole region and things like that. I don't want to mention names, but there are a lot of names out there who, obviously, they've done like a lot of experience in East Africa. But then with your experience of speaking to so many Somalis in that region, you tend to focus on the negatives. Like, it just doesn't add up. And I think the reason why these things are happening is because it sells.
Yeah, of course it does.
It sells to the general public.
To the masses.
It sells to the masses.
Yeah.
The masses will be like, thinking, oh, yeah, this is something, let's see what's going on, whatever. And then obviously this creates a notion that whenever you meet a non-Somali and they're like, oh, where are you from? And you say to them, I'm Somali. They're like, oh, okay, like, you're not going to steal from me, or you're not going to blow us up and things like that. So then obviously, because it's all this literature and the media is perpetuating this narrative, and I think as us Somalis, we have to change that narrative. And I've seen a shift of all these Somalis doing like photography, filmmaking, spoken word, podcasting. Exactly. Yeah, can't forget podcasting. Brother Abu Bakr doing after hours. If you guys don't know,
I wasn't fishing for
like
a
and subscribe.
I wasn't fishing for carry on.
No, you have to support. But yeah, like we've seen a lot of Somalis doing a lot of creative work. And also, like you said, podcasts. There's people doing filmmaking, photography, spoken word, and they're showcasing their work on social media.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hype of it. And I feel like there's been a shift since I started this project 2014. So
what, you started this 2014? Or just in general? Yeah, the whole entire
project. My books and all of these new series that I've done was released in 2018. So my first book released in 2018. And I would say that was when I started traveling around the world, hosting book events, doing public speaking. I would say that was when my project really, really kicked off. It was from 2018 until now.
So this is your second book?
No, this is my third.
Third?
Yeah.
I've seen the Arawela edition. Is that which one's that?
That's the first of the two series. So also another fun fact.
Tell me.
A lot of the Somalis that took part in this project were women.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. I just wanted to basically find out how you got into writing. I'm sure it's not as easy as just one day giving up your photography, whatever. You must have been good at it, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started taking photos initially in the beginning.
Okay.
And then people started sending me images. And whenever I would be in a location, I would share on my social media, hey guys, I'm in Minnesota, for example, in the US. If you want to take part in the project, message me.
Come down, yeah.
And then that's when people started coming. So then I'll do that to every place that I visit.
Beautiful.
And then I created this like momentum or this global platform online. And then that's when I decided to allow people to send me, because then a lot of people were sending me images. So I thought it would make sense to do that as well. So then it created some sort of trend. People started jumping on it. People started taking sideways photos. People didn't understood why, but they started doing it anyway.
Nice.
I only knew recently why I decided to do that. Yeah.
So going back to how you got into it. Talk to me about that. Was that must have been some experience. What did you have to give up for you to start writing, and how hard is it to be an author? I'm sure it's not easy.
Yeah. It's not easy. So I did my first book with a publishing house and based in Leicester. and
Sorry,
I had
Mohammed,
to.
what does that mean? What does that mean? So,
So
what's a publishing house? What is
okay.
what are all these things? So no, 1 second, 1 second. So
I'll tell you.
please tell me. Yeah.
So the publishing house is a publishing company that basically print books. So if you have an idea or you want to publish a book, if the publishing company is happy with what you have and your manuscript, then they'll be able to conduct the design of the front cover, the back cover, the inside, all these things that are inside.
Did you have an agent then?
No, I didn't.
You just went on your own with it. I'm sure.
Yeah, so the publishing company that I went to was based in Leicester, and then I told them, listen, this is my idea, this is my script. If you're happy with it, then we can move forward with it. And the thing is, with this publishing house, they focus more on Islam, Somali books, Somali history, and things like that. So my project was new to them, and on top of that, I've never published a book in my life.
So anyone can just walk in and say, "Hi, my name is so and so. I want to publish this book."
Yeah, so obviously, like, you liaise with them and you tell them, like, I've been doing this for a while and things like that. And I think what also helped me was my social media presence online.
Okay, good.
So I think because, they can easily just type my name and my project, they'll see a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So then that's what I did. And then the publishing company was like, yeah, we're willing to do that. And it took about a year to do, solely because I had a lot of data of all these stories. And all these photos, so I had to sift them all out, and then not only that, I had to categorize. So if there's stories on civil war, I would put all the stories on civil war and the photos, put them in one category. The ones that are on family, I'll put them in one category. Education, and so on and so on. So it took about a year for me to do that. It was a lot because I would say over 2,000 Somalis took part in the project.
Oh wow! So sorry, I'm very, very fascinated.
No, it's cool. It's all right, bro.
So I'm asking questions that.
No, it's fine.
When all these people got involved in the project, was it like an interview kind of based? How was it? You sat down with them and you heard their stories and you'd write down exactly what they're saying?
Yeah, so then I would ask them questions about their life.
Oh, nice.
And their passions. And then one thing I realized with Dumurka, Somali women, is that you ask them something,
they go here and there.
They go on a tangent.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah. I'm sorry to generalize, but that's the people, Somalis that the
but that's good for you though. If they go,
which is fantastic
it's amazing
for me
for you,
because I have a lot of content and I can stuff out like the things that will create the most impact with Somalis and women as a whole. So, and obviously with our men, it's very hard for me to like get at them.
Get anything
like
out.
You have to force them out, and that's why a lot of the people that were involved in the project were women. In
this project or in all the other ones as well?
The whole Somali Sideways project.
Okay.
Yeah, there was majority women involved.
So this one is Somali Sideways women stories.
Yeah. So these are the stories that are, because there were so many stories on women, I didn't want to create a single book because that would have taken a lot of time. So then I decided to split them up. So then I decided to do a pilot with the first one.
Yeah.
The first one was quite successful. So then that's when I decided, you know what, the remaining ones that I've had, I made it into a second
is good for you.
book, which is fantastic.
Amazing
for
you, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about, so we're going to go into detail of this book. I'm sorry, I couldn't get they were sold out. So that's good.
Yeah, which is good for me.
Hold on, let me get. So they were sold out, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So this is the only one I got. There's a little bit I want to read in here, which obviously I thought was amazing, and we'll get into why you released this and why you did it. So this is from a young age, I found myself questioning this. Questioning what? Sorry, I saw their strength. So this is Somali women telling stories about their parents. In the introduction, so it's I saw their strength and what they were capable of, but I never saw that go past their roles within their home, and I didn't understand why. From a young age, I found myself questioning this, and as I got older, I realized that this wasn't a problem limited to my own family. It was very much evident in the roots of my nation. It was apparent in the number of female teachers we had in the region. It was very evident in the number of female doctors we had in Somali regions. It was much more evident in the number of female representatives we had in the Somali government, and it was pretty damn evident in the number of female-run businesses. There was a clear lack of women's involvement in the national affairs, and I concluded that this was why we seem to be stuck on a standstill. So is it your mindset that you went out and got these kind of stories? Because you can get someone to sit down and tell amazing thing about Somali women, or did you sit them down and give them the narrative where you want to know why Somali women are not thriving in any sort of business? Or
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I decided to
I think they are thriving at the moment, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what you meant. But with regards to this this book and this project with the Somali women, I've interviewed a lot of Somali women who have been like recognized globally.
Okay.
So I've interviewed Somali women such as Ilhan Omar, for example, who I know very well. But our communication has been slightly less because obviously, like, she's a congresswoman now. Also, I've interviewed Lehen Haristo Hodan Lalaya, who created a platform called Integration TV. So I've interviewed a lot of Somali women who are recognized around the world, not just Somalis. Halima Aden as well. So all of these people are recognized, not just Somalis, but as a whole in the world. But then I also wanted to focus on Somali women who deserve recognition for the efforts that they've made in whatever capacity and whatever field. But the media is not showing them a light. So I decided to use that because I had a platform, and I was like, it's my responsibility to do that. And then that's what I did. So in this category, the majority of them have been doing good work, but they, in my opinion, they deserve recognition for the works that they've done. So then that's what this series is focusing on. It's focusing more on the ones that have been doing work for many years, but no one knows about them. So
did you mean to leave their names in? Because there's so many stories, beautiful stories, and you've left all their names at the bottom.
Yeah. So there's some stories that I've interviewed, and due to some of the intenseness of it, some of them wanted to remain anonymous.
Yeah, I've seen a few that said anonymous.
So because of that, obviously I had to cater to their needs. But they wouldn't mind getting their story out there. They just didn't want their name to be on it. And also, that reminds me, there were a lot of people that wanted their story. They sent me their story.
Okay.
But because the story was so some of them were so like controversial. Some of them, there was a lot of taboo. And I decided not to share it because they didn't want it to be shared. They realized I told them, like,
are you sure
you want this to be out there in the world? And then they changed their mind later on.
Of course.
But I always ask the people that took part in this project if they want their story to be out there. And if they do, then I basically create a section or however long the story is. And then I'll send it to them. And if they're happy with it, then that's when I continue doing it, whether it's online or during these whole series.
So did you, sorry, because now you mentioned it was getting sent in to you as well. I'm sure you traveled for some of these stories as well.
I did.
So tell me about some of the places that you went and also about the Somali community that you've seen there and what's different to what we have
the
here.
UK. There's a lot of Somalis I've met, like in obviously the UK, also in Canada, US, some areas in Scandinavia. Obviously going to Somalia, for example.
Oh, you went there
Kenya,
as well,
Kenya. I went to Kenya. I went to Ethiopia as well. Went to Somali region there. And I even went to Asia. Some of the Somalis that are living in China, for example. One thing I realized, Somalis are everywhere. Which is great. So then, obviously, because of that, there's a lot of differences as well at the same time. For example, I think because of the population in the US, which is like over 200 million, because of that, that means that there's a lot more Somalis that are living there, which means also there are a lot more businesses there, which also means that they are thriving. Whereas over here, we not only do we have a big population of Somalis, one of the biggest, however, it's not as, when it comes to business and entrepreneurship and things like that, they're on a different level.
Yeah, of course.
And I think also it's to do with support. because America is so massive, and if you are from the States, you can apply for something in some other state. But because you are US, it won't affect you. You can apply for it. Like I can apply for something, like for funding, or like I'm doing a business and business venture or anything like that.
Yeah.
If it's in some area in, like, I don't know, some different area in America, but because I'm US, I can get it.
But
But
they look at you. They look at your nationality. If you're
yeah,
US, they don't
so
look at the fact that you're
so
Somali.
if you're a citizen, or exactly,
Yeah,
they don't
yeah,
look at it because you're Somali, whatever.
Yeah.
You're US citizen.
You're good to
You're
go.
good to go. You know, and I feel like in the UK, it is like that to some extent.
Yeah.
However,
It's not like that. I don't think it's like that.
yeah, but and the most important thing is the amount that you can apply for is a whole new different level than in the States.
Can I ask
and
you?
North America.
Sorry to go off on a tangent. Did you see? I didn't pay too much attention to it because I didn't understand it. But did you see those people that applied for some sort of funding over the summer in America?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You're
250 million. And then
the people in the US, Minnesota. Yeah,
do you know about that?
I do. Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? Forget the cameras.
Okay.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Okay, cool. So basically, what happened was, let me tell you something. A few weeks before.
Okay.
So I was invited to go to an event in Minnesota, and it's called Snappy. So these people, they invite people from North America, different types of professions, and they speak about their experiences. So, and they give workshops as well. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're a successful entrepreneur, you give talks about how to scale up your business.
Beautiful.
And things like that.
Somalis?
That would happen. Somalis.
Okay, lovely.
But what was also interesting was they were inviting a selected few that were from outside. So I was one of those people that they invited. And there was another brother I know as well that was from the UK, who I've known for years as well. He was invited too. And there was another person from Sweden and another person.
Small selective, basically.
Yeah, so I think there was 4 of us from outside. Long story short, I didn't go because the US rejected my visa.
Unlucky.
I went to Somalia.
Oh, yeah.
And long story short, I had to go through an embassy, and that takes time. I couldn't go to the event anyway.
Okay. Was it better for you to go Somali then? Did you find it better? Or was it just...
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I went back. Yeah.
I just wanted you to say that. So
no, I'm so happy that I went back. You know, like, I mean, if it meant that the US will reject me, there's no big deal, you know.
Go on, carry on. Sorry, I threw you off.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. So then after that, what happened was I couldn't go, but my friend, he went because he's never been back home.
Okay.
And he's never been to any shady country.
And
So there was no reason for him to say no. So he went. So then that event happened, whatever. A lot of people thought I was going to be there. But then I told the organizers, hey, listen, like, my visa's rejected. So then what they tried to do, bless them, I see what they're trying to do, but it's a risk for me. They wanted me to go through the board of Canada.
Which is all right. No?
No, it's not, because it's a 50-50 chance.
So you might be stuck in Canada?
Yeah, I might be stuck in Canada.
Okay.
So I didn't want to do that. So I told them, listen, it's okay. You guys tried your best.
There's always another time.
It wasn't Qadr of Allah. It wasn't meant for me to go. No problem.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks after that event, boom, this FBI thing came in, like some sort of release saying like, oh yeah, these people are being charged. Their names were there.
Wait, everyone that was at the event?
No.
Oh, so it had nothing to do with the event.
Okay. This is not going to be recorded, right?
Yes, it is. This is juicy. Put it in, mate. Put it in.
So basically, I don't want to put any like defamation or whatever.
No names.
No names. Yeah, no names. But some of the people, like 1 or 2, have been involved in organizing of this creation of this Snappy event.
Okay.
And they do this every year, by the way. And then majority of these people, they were from Minnesota and I think Ohio or something like that.
Okay.
Majority of them. And long story short, they stole 250 million. They claimed that some of the kids they were being helped they needed this amount to help the kids that are like, hungry in Minnesota. But they exaggerate the issue.
Of course.
So to an extent where they made it seem like so many kids are dying of hunger in Minnesota.
So don't they do no checks? They just give the money out in America?
I'm sure they probably did. However, the person that was head of it was a Adan lady. So I think in America, I don't know if this is general, but maybe around the world, I don't know. But if they see someone who's Adan
running your company or running your
business, this thing, and they're the face of it, you're more likely to get something. You're more likely to get funding, or you're more likely to get an approved amount, whatever it is. So if she says I need this amount, they probably was like, they did a few fact checks. She probably has experience doing it, or like doing whatever. And then, so then they got 250 million, and I think 48 people were involved. So if you were to split that, I don't know, my maths are a bit weird, but it's quite a lot.
Sorry, first of all, I don't want to judge, but I doubt that was their intention.
No.
I'm sure they just seen they're giving money out for free. But I'm just trying to figure out how they got caught. How would someone like that, how do you get caught?
Yeah, I think, sometimes in America, they build up case. So they build up a case. So they probably knew this was happening.
And
they just wanted to see and let them ride out and see where it would go.
Of course.
So then obviously they build up of so much evidence. So then that's when they came in. But innocent until proven guilty.
Of course.
We'll see how it happens really from there.
Yeah, man. Okay, sorry, that was me just...
No, yeah. No, it's fine.
Just going into detail. So let's go back to this. There's something interesting that you said about going to all these different places and seeing Somalis that are... Sorry, they're not different because we're all Somali, but they have different way of life.
Yeah.
So these topics that you talk on in here, they're all from people that are from different areas of, or different walks of life, or different areas of the world. But the topics are all something we can all relate to.
Yes.
So there's inspiration, civil war, family, identity, community, and Islam. So even me reading this, I can relate to some of it because I've got sisters.
Yeah.
But did you ever think, or did you think, oh wow, this topic is getting a lot of answers. I'm getting a lot back from civil war, for example. Yeah.
I've got like out of any of the stories that I've gathered, the majority that I've, whether it's interviewed or some being sent to me, was definitely civil war.
Civil war, innit?
Yeah, civil war was one of the highest, if not the highest, if I can remember. And I think the next one was family. And a lot of them, the stories that I've gathered were Somali like women who are at home by themselves and they have like looking after like 5-6 kids, and to see what they go through, the struggles they go through, and things like that. Their aspect of motherhood, like their perception of motherhood before they became a mother, and how they viewed it once they became a mother. And then once I interviewed them, you realize there's a stark difference.
Yeah.
So then stuff like that, and that's what I do.
No, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. If you haven't bought the book yet, it's on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon. It sent me back quite a bit, so. I'm joking. It's not much. It's on Amazon. Yeah. Make sure you support, man. MashaAllah, the brother's doing amazing things.
Thank you, man.
How did you get into? I'm not asking for myself. I might one day look back at this and think, should I do it? But how did you get into being an author? What was your academia like in school?
Okay. So my academia is I did my bachelor's in international politics.
Okay.
And my master's was in politics of conflict, rights, and justice. So long story short, my background is in politics and IR, international relations, that kind of thing. So then obviously this is completely different to, what I studied. And one of the reasons why, because this is a passion of mine. I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't really see this as work. So it's like, I decided to pursue doing it. But in 2018, the reason why I decided to create this whole publishing series was because I wanted people to have something tangible to hold.
Rather than just your Instagram or your...
Exactly. Because one thing I realized with online is, yes, if you create momentum, whatever, it will become trending and whatever.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's going to be... It's going to go, So depending on what your objective and main thing is.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if it's a podcast, of course, it's a different realm than if you were to take pictures and, storytelling and things like that.
Yeah.
It will be great for the day or two, but then it will just... So I wanted some people to have, a tangible, something to hold on, a book.
Yeah, that's true.
And also I wanted to create some form of legacy so people can read it whenever they can, and they can choose to put it in the shelf and it will always be there.
Yeah.
Even if I were to go in this world and I were to pass away, my books will always be there to people to have accessible use for it.
Well, that makes sense.
So in the sense that was my way of thinking, to create some sort of legacy with the project and to continue the trend. So that's why I decided to create this whole publishing books and things like that. and yeah, like, and also to like meet people as well.
Yeah.
And like if they, I've come across a lot of aspiring writers or people that want to do their own thing in general, and then they would always tell me, and even when I'm at events, at the last question, they would ask me, what would you give advice to young people? What advice would you give?
Oh, that's my question at the end of this podcast. You just ruined it. Oh, my days. That's what I ask at the end of the podcast, man. Oh, why did you do that?
Sorry, bro.
Sorry, bro. We might as well do it now, man. we might as well do it now. So let me pretend like I'm asking, please.
Okay. But
no, let me ask you the question.
Okay, cool.
Please. So, Mohammed, what advice would you give someone that wants to be a writer?
Yeah, so I always tell people always have something, and if it's an idea and you're questioning the purpose of this idea, and if it's not going to be successful, or people might not understand it or whatever, I would say still go for it, because you're young at the end of the day. If it fails, you can do something else. And when I did this project, a lot of the time I got a lot of stick because, looking back at it now, it's actually funny. But back then, I never understood why people would say like no to me, in the sense of when I was doing this project initially.
Who would say no? Like companies or?
No, like people that I would interview. So I started off with my friends.
Of course,
as
you do.
And then some of them were like, nah, not really. Nah, I don't want to do that, whatever. And then somehow I pushed through and I started getting a few of them involved. And then I started sharing them online. But then I would never put their full name. Some of them were like, don't put my full name, just put my first name or my nickname or things like that. So I'll put their nickname or their first name, and then I'll start sharing it online. And then I would do it at different venues in London. So I started in London, and then after that, that's when it started to kind of grow. So then it started going to Europe, and then
no, because when you say venues and stuff and do it in Europe, it sounds all amazing. Honestly, it's big up yourself first of all. But it must not be that easy.
Yeah.
So, what did you have any pushback? How are you getting venues? How are you traveling around Europe when you're first starting off? What was that like?
Believe it or not, when I did this project, people used to invite me. So one thing I've realized when I was doing this project initially, I was doing it myself a lot of the time. For many years, before even the books came out, I was doing it myself, and then I'd get people to get involved in the project, things like that, and then people will start inviting me to host exhibitions. So they would print my photos, and then they would host photo exhibitions in London and in Europe.
Nice.
And I'd be like, I was so baffled, but initially I was like, don't even know how this photo exhibition works.
Yeah.
They were like, just send us your image, and we'll choose the best ones. We'll print them out for you, frame it, and then we'll put it in galleries.
And what's that? What's a photo exhibition? Is that you just coming around explaining why you took these photos, what they mean?
Yeah, the photos of all the Somali Sideways images that I've taken, and also the ones that people have sent me. So
send me some. I'll put in the pot. I'll put some here.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'll put in the pot. No, don't look there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when it's edited.
Yeah, I know. I was just checking, I was visualizing where you're gonna put it. That's why I was looking around.
Right. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah. No, that would be a nice place to do it.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll put it right there, bro.
But yeah, so, and then that's when the photos were being displayed and everything, and then they would host it for a month.
Okay.
And then people would just show up and be randomly. It was at Shoreditch. My first one I ever did was in Shoreditch. The place was called Autograph ATP. Okay. So that was based in near Angel, Shoreditch.
Okay.
So then that's when I did my first one, and then I told people about it online, right?
Rightly so.
And then people were like, "Yeah, we're gonna come." So then a lot of Somalis came,
nice,
and non-Somalis were there too. And then this is actually funny. So there was a non-Somali who came up to me, and so he started saying some absolutely crazy things about my image. Yeah, good things in a sense, but he was in my head he was waffling, but he had a specific lens of the way he was looking at my image.
Yeah.
And in my head, because this was the first 2 years, I didn't even know why I was doing this. I'm just trying to understand why I was doing this.
And he explained it to you.
And he explained it to me in a way that I never thought of.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there like, yeah. I thought of that. Yeah. No, you're right. No, I can see the way you're looking at it. Yeah. That's very unique. It's very unique. I was just waffling.
Yeah.
And then some of my friends, they came and they were like, because they know like when I'm waffling and all that, they were like, yeah, you're just saying, yeah, you don't understand what he's saying. So they were like, yeah. I said, listen, I have to, because otherwise I can't go up to him and be like,
say you're wrong.
To tell you the truth, I don't even know what I was doing. I can't do that, you know.
Wow.
I don't believe in this concept of fake it till you make it. But in that sense, I had to act like I knew what I was doing.
Exactly.
So I acted like I knew what I was doing. And for a while I was doing that, but then I told myself, okay, I need to understand why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like I knew why, obviously to change the misconceptions, but why this image? Why sideways? So then I thought of something that was like completely like out of the ordinary, and it was quite unique, and I think it still is. So I don't know if you've seen the image, but whenever I take a photo of someone standing sideways, so the side that's visible is the side that friends and family can vouch the type of person that you are.
Wow.
And that's visible to you and to everyone else. And the side that's hidden is a side that only a certain aspect of your story that you know that no one else knows. And everyone, including yourself, me, everyone, whoever is watching, they have a certain aspect of their story that no one knows, and they keep it within themselves.
Wow.
And that's the side that's hidden. So I would tell people that's why the concept of Somali Sideways came about.
No, that's beautiful, man. That makes sense as well.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. So are you ever planning to tell, are you ever planning to do another one with Somali men? Because that will honestly...
You know, that's actually like funny, because I was talking to someone about this like a couple of days ago. And I would always... The thing is, like, initially in my head, the reason why I decided to do the women series, like I told you, was a lot of the people that were involved were women. But then it makes you think, and it gives you... The next question is why?
Where are the men? Yeah.
Where are the men?
Yeah.
Why are they not more like taking part in this project? And I think the reason why is because of two things. One, they don't want to seem like, you know, like, even I'm including myself in this, men don't want to be seen as vulnerable.
That's true.
And especially like, because I think this is like Men's Mental Health Month or something like that, right? This month. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it?
I'm not sure actually. Well, I'll check later.
We'll check,
if not, my apologies. Maybe it's another month, but I think it is. But yeah, so this.
Shall I release it when it's that month?
I think it's in this month.
I'll release this episode if it's not.
Yeah.
So you're not wrong.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be nice, bro. My guy.
I got you.
So then I realized, because men don't want to be seen as vulnerable. That's number one, and number two, they don't want their story to be like seen in a way that that they've lost or something. Like they don't want to be seen as a weakness or something like that. So that's one thing I realized. Men don't want to be vulnerable, and they don't want the world to see them as weak.
But do you think that's all men? Because if you go back home, a lot of men will tell their stories back home. But maybe it's different when you leave Somalia and come to a different country. Because I know, and a lot of people know, and if they don't, they should know that we come from a land of poets, and they used to be vulnerable for years and tell their stories. And have you tried going back home and asking people what was it like there? If you did ask.
Yeah. So I've asked like a few people from back home, but the stories were more like it wasn't something about their life necessarily. It was more about
situation.
Like, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to study. I ended up studying this. So that kind of generic sort of that sort of thing, you know. And it wasn't like a personal story.
Okay.
So that was my my issue. And the women that were involved in the project, they would talk so deeply about their story. And then and I think also it's to do with like, you know, women's socials, like how they socialize and how men socialize. How women socialize is completely different, because they, like, if something's going on with their life, they're so quick to tell like the next friend. They'll call them, be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Hey girl, let's meet up. They meet up and they go to some whatever, and then they'll start doing a circle and that kind of thing. But with us guys, it's like, yeah, you know, did you see the Arsenal score? Yeah. Arsenal did a bang, yeah. Martinelli scored a banger, you know, which is fine. Like, you can talk about football and whatever. And then, it's either football, women, or what else? And work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's very simple thing. And if you were to say like, give me like 5 things about the person that you're closest to, they wouldn't come up with 2. They'll only say, I hang around this place and he lives there.
That's my guy.
But you've known him for 10 years.
Yeah.
So then you ask yourself, you've known this guy for 10 years, but you only can say 3 things or 2 things about him. So then that literally says everything, you know?
But I'm sure, do you think it's different with other races?
I think it's general.
Yeah,
I think it's general.
So it's not really
it's not really a Somali thing or non-Somali thing. But I feel like maybe it's also an ethnic minority thing.
You think?
I think it is, yeah. Because I've seen the way Adan people, the way they hang around with the guys, very open,
it's true.
Very open, very like, they'll say anything that comes to mind.
Yeah.
You know, and then what makes it even worse is, well, not even worse, but how you see it, but even when they're drunk, they're very open. They'll say anything. What's in their mind, they'll say it. And they're like that in real life as well when they're sober. So, and the women already do this anyway. But with guys, Adan guys, it's different. With us, like ethnic minorities, especially Mado, or like black men as a whole, we're not very open.
I think it's changing though. I hope it's changing.
No,
but you know what? Does it need to change?
Absolutely. It has to change, because then that will affect a man's like mental health. Why is it that like most people that most gender that commit suicide are men, and it's mostly, and if you look at it deeply, it's ethnic minorities, and if you look at it even more deeply, it's black men. They're the ones that are like the ones that most like commit suicide, or the ones that have issues and mental health and things like that. And it is all down to
communication,
not communicating, not telling them what their problem is. They're like, yeah, you know what? It's my issue. I'm going to solve it. I'm going to keep it in. And then that's where the problem starts.
Damn. This just got deep.
I know.
This just got deep.
I know, yeah.
Well, do you think it's changing the misconception of Somalis? Could you have written this 20 years ago? Say you were the same age as you are now. Could you have written this and released this 20 years ago? And flew around the world and spoke to all these people?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. And I think, because one guy told me, like, you're a guy, why are you writing stories about women?
I'm not going to lie. It crossed my mind as well. I'm so sorry. It crossed my mind. I'm so sorry, man. Oh man,
it's cool.
But it's not like you're telling your story about women.
Yeah,
it's you're putting a platform on for different women.
For different women.
Yeah,
exactly,
I'm sorry, cross my mind.
No, it's cool. You're not the first one, like, bro.
Thank God.
A lot of people have asked me that. They're like, bro, you're a guy. Why are you writing stories about women? And even the women themselves. There's a difference though, because when the guys ask me that, it's like, bro, you're right. Like, what's wrong with you? But when the women ask me, it's like, what made you?
Decide, they're intrigued.
They're intrigued.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. So then the women would be like, why is it that you're doing this? Like, you know, and you're brave for doing this, because, you know, guys, they will never like do this, you know?
Yeah, no, that's
like
true.
Somali guys will never do this. So then when they look at me and they're like, bro, like, what made you decide to do it? You know?
That's true. That's a good question to ask. What about when they come in to tell their story? Are they more open to telling you rather than someone that's a woman?
I think with regards to Somali guys sharing.
No. When the women come and tell their stories, when they came, sorry, it's already happened.
Oh yeah.
And they see you sitting there rather than a woman.
Yeah.
Are they more open and more willing to tell their story? Have you noticed anyone saying, you know what, I don't want to tell you. I'd rather just keep this part hidden. Or are they more freely spoken to you?
They're very freely. I think because some of them like recognize me, so maybe it's to do with that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Also maybe it's to do with like, because I have good like, because some people have like great hard skills but lack soft skills.
Yeah.
Mine is kind of like more soft a little bit. So like communication, listening skills, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at that. So I think if you're that, women love people who are good listeners. So then they're willing to just
speak. No, that's beautiful, man. What's your plans going forward now? Are you going to release that the one for the men's? And if you are, then can we have an exclusive on this podcast?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks a lot, man.
You're one of the first people that I'm going to interview. Don't worry.
Thanks a lot, man.
No, it's cool. I'm willing to do that if there are people that are willing to open up, because I want to
never
men
mind.
to be
Never mind me then. Just forget it. Forget it. Carry on. I was willing to, but then you said open up. Just leave it there.
This is the problem.
I know.
But also, like, yeah, I forgot to mention this because since this is about like men's mental health, so there's a brother that I'm going to collaborate with. His name is Abdurrahman Warsame, and he's based in Minnesota. So his story is very fascinating. He, for a long time, was a drug addict.
Okay.
And he was going through a lot of motion, whatever, and he was doing that for a while. And he stopped it recently because he realized that, like at some point he had an epiphany and a eureka moment. I'm going to stop this,
Nice.
And I'm going to use my like experience to stop Somalis that are getting into drugs in Minnesota. So he released a book recently called From Addict to Advocate.
Is it out already?
It's already out, yeah.
I'll leave the description below because I would like to read that
as well. Of course, yeah. So he's organizing an event.
Addict?
From Addict to Advocate.
Mashallah.
Yeah, which is, it's an interesting title. And he's, I'm collaborating with him on the 25th of November this month.
Nice.
So he's coming to London from Minnesota to do this event. So, and it's interesting because, he's one of the first Somalis I've met who, ignore the drug addict, whatever.
Yeah.
He's willing to speak about his problems.
How he got into it and everything.
And he's open because I asked him, like, can I ask you questions? Like, is there some questions that I can't ask you? Which makes sense, right?
Yeah, of course.
But he said, no, ask me whatever you want. As long as you're not insulting me.
Yeah.
Ask me whatever you want. So then that's when I was thinking, like, what guy do I know out there that is, that has experienced a certain aspect of their life and is willing to talk about it on a big scale?
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Talk about vulnerability, man. That's the biggest vulnerability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I said to him, brother, I'm willing to help out, because he reached out to me and he said, bro, like, I've been doing this. I've been following you for a while. I'm coming to London and I want to collaborate with you.
Love
and
that.
I was like, bro, it's hack that I'm helping you, bro.
Yeah, I love that.
It's my responsibility. So, yeah.
No, that's beautiful, man. So that's something that you're thinking about then, the men's.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Especially what I meet people like Abdurrahman who's willing to do that. I'm happy to tell his story, No,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, what about things that you've got in the pipe works then?
Yeah, so I have something on the pipeline, but I'm the type of person that I don't share it like to the world.
Oh, okay. Until it's done.
Like,
Okay.
basically.
No, I'm like that.
I've been that person, and you realize a difference, a shift when you decide to share people out there before it's even ready, and then you tend to realize why it's not ready or why it's not done is because you put it out there, So then once you say to people, I'm working on something, it's so generic.
Yeah.
And then they already know you're working on something, and when you release it, it's already done. It's out, So then you've worked on it. So basically what I'm saying is, I don't, sihr and evil eye and things like that. I'm not saying everyone's evil, whatever.
No, that makes sense though. That
but
makes sense.
At the same time, if you put it out there, some people, without them, you can give evil eye without you realizing.
Yeah.
So then there's people out there that might just be like, or some, they don't mean it,
but
it's already out. And then you tend to ask yourself, what's going on? Like, why haven't I done this?
Because, shall I tell you what it is? I'll tell you a different aspect now as well. If, for example, you made this, blue, and you wrote Somali Sideways men's stories, which I want to see that. I'm very hopeful that happens. And if it does, can you make it blue and can you write men's stories? Can I make the title up?
Okay.
Thanks. If that was already something you're working on and you put it out there and you put it on your Instagram, next up, and you write next up, when it's out, a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I already knew that was coming, and I won't buy it. I already knew it was coming. Rather than, like you said, just release it when it's done. Everyone will be like more excited
like,
about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, okay, I get it.
More like but they're shocked in a good way.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, you know what? Let me search it, whatever. And that's what I did with this one. Like, I didn't tell anyone that I was doing it, and then it came a good time because I was doing Somali Week. Invited me. There was a big event, so I was like, you know what? Let me release this before that event, and then that's what I did it.
Nice. Okay, what about? Let me ask you a different question now, more UK based. What's the misconception in the cities of the UK? Have you noticed London, Leicester, Birmingham, Sheffield, Bristol, all these places, Cardiff? Are there different stories coming out of different places of the UK?
Yes. For London, for example, I think it's like I came across a lot of different stories, and I realized also in Birmingham, there was a lot of stories of Somalis that came from Scandinavia and the Netherlands. So the stories that I've gathered from Birmingham were mostly that, around like that, and then they would talk about their experiences, and I realized also this is an interesting thing. So when it came to like family life, and the importance of family, a lot of the stories came from outside of London.
Why? Why is that?
And I think it's because it made me think, because I think when you come out of London, a lot of things, it's a lot calmer wherever it is. You know, whether it's Birmingham, it's calmer than
out of London, for example, out of the UK.
No, it's out of London.
Okay.
So when you go to Birmingham, when you go to Manchester, Leicester, there's a sense of like it's really relaxed.
It's more time in the day. It's more I feel
like there's more time in the day. Like you said, there's more things to do. There's no rush. Like you don't sit down at the end of the day and be like, what the hell did I do? It's different, and also that affects your family. So then the family life and the family dynamic is strong because it's calmer outside. You know, you don't obviously there's a lot of worries of kids going out. Fair enough, but it's I don't know if I can say it's a lot less than London. Maybe, it depends. But then what I mean is like the family life, the dynamic of it is different because there's a lot less hecticness in that city than London, you know? That's what I mean. And for example, that's what I came across. A lot of the family like dynamics and stuff was different compared to the Somali ones in London, for example.
There's one that I don't know. I was speaking to someone about this the other day. Culture. Do you think us as Somalis living in the UK are getting more westernized? Is that something that you've noticed? I know I've noticed that.
I know a lot of people in North America are going to give me stick for this, but it's the harsh truth. I thought like when it comes to culture and things like that, the UK Somalis, I thought they were like becoming like you said, westernized and, you know, doing what the non-Somalis do and all that stuff. Until I went to North America.
Tell me about that, please.
When I went to North America.
When you say North America, where exactly?
Canada.
Okay.
You forced me to say
Shout out my Canadians. Carry on. I knew what you meant, so carry on.
Canadians are going to kill me now. But yeah, so like the ones that I saw in Canada, like they're so open about it to doing like haram wherever it is. They're so open because in the UK, if people do it, it's behind closed doors. But over there, it's like I'm here, you know. I'm here. Look at me.
Why do you think?
And I think it's a lot to do with society, for one. Canadian society is like very liberal, so it's like, you know, everyone is free. Do whatever you want. No one will question you. If you're LGBT, whatever it is, no one will say nothing to you. Like, no one will look at you twice. And the only people that do look at you twice, they're not from Canada. They're from somewhere else. They're on holiday or something like that. Everyone is just like doing their own thing, free. You know, no one judging and all that stuff, whatever. And in a sense, when it comes to religion, it's pretty much like, the society as a whole, they're not religious. They're very, very secular. And I thought UK was secular. No, because in a sense, it's different. I mean, the national anthem is God Save the King. So it's like, there has to be some element of religion to it. But over there, absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. Over there, it's like, I mean, it's a Commonwealth, whatever. But the Somalis there, it's like it's a completely different. And it's not just me saying. If you ask any Somali UK that has been to Canada, they will say the same thing. Somalis are very much more cultured in the UK than in Canada, for example. North America is certain areas. So certain areas are more cultured than others. So if you go to like the East Coast where New York City is and around there, that kind of area is a lot less cultured than Minnesota, because Minnesota is the biggest Somali population
in the world.
Yeah, some say it's the world. Yeah, to some extent, yeah, some people say it's the world. So it's either Toronto or Minnesota. But yeah, a lot of people say Minnesota. And then there's a lot of Somalis that are in the California, Melahas, Seattle. They're more cultured there as well. So Ohio is cultured. So yeah, and then some people are saying also Australia is like so cultured to a point where it's the most.
I went there. I went Melbourne, yeah.
A lot of people,
yeah. It's amazing there, yeah. There's a lot of Somalis there.
A lot of Somalis there, and they're also very like conservative as well.
Yeah,
you don't see them doing all kinds of funky behavior. There are like maybe 1%, but majority of them are very like calm people and things like that. So yeah, you get a lot of mix around the world, you know.
So what's your misconception? If I was to ask you, because I know you're going out now asking the public and changing the misconception of Somalis and the stereotype that they have, what's your misconception now? What would you say
is the biggest?
Yeah, it's the biggest, yeah.
Whoa, okay. I would say the biggest misconception for us Somalis is that it's only focusing on tribalism and qabiyalat. That's a misconception.
I think that's died down.
No.
Has it not? I think it's died down.
No. I think... Okay, how do I explain this? There's this... I would like to call it disease. This disease has been involved in our culture for the last, like, maybe, since the Civil War began.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the past, qabiyalat was never a thing. It was never a thing where, okay, like, certain tribes would, you know, fight and argue, but then they would settle at that moment, which will obviously, I did a paper on it. It's called the Her system. So either two things would happen. Either, you know, eye for an eye or blood money. So if someone were to kill another person from a different tribe, those two things would happen. Either they would take revenge and they would agree upon it, or they would play blood money. Majority of the time, it's money anyway.
Yeah.
So that was what back then, and to some extent is what's going on now too.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a different thing that's going on.
What's that?
Which is marginalizing and discriminating on minority people and minority clans. So there's a certain like groups of clans that are well known and a lot of people are from. Mm-hmm. These lot are running what's going on in the countries, basically, or in the region. And everyone else is cast aside and put to one.
So almost like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Apart from the, you know, obviously the different fantasy dragons and whatever.
Yeah. But, you know, it's almost like
it's almost the same. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's like different houses, and to some extent, everyone's competing. You know, to be the best amongst the tribe or whatever. Yeah, you know.
But if there was no tribes, and I okay, you probably are right in the sense that there's a lot of tribalism where they end up killing and they end up taking power from a certain region because they're bigger and claim that they're better. But if there was no tribes, no one would know where you're from, and no one would pay that blood money if there was blood money, and no one would settle if there was a case for settling. Yeah. So there are good.
Of course, yeah.
There are good.
Yeah, knowing where you're from, absolutely. Yeah. Knowing your tribe is very important. Where your family's from, your ancestors from, is very important. But the moment that you start trying to say and marginalize certain clans and try to say, like, my tribe is better than yours because of this, and and there's this notion as well, people would say, like, where are you from? And then, which qabil are you? And then you say your qabil, and then they would say, like, that makes sense. And you're thinking, like, how does that make sense? What the hell do you mean? Yeah, you look like someone that's from that tribe. What the hell is
What do they look like? Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm thinking, like, what do they look like?
But is that have you think that's filtered down to the UK or any other places that you've
I feel like with the diaspora, it's gone a lot worse. And I feel like it's our generation that are, propelling this idea that, being hardcore on your clan and where your region is. Like, at the end of the day, like Somalia was considered one at some point.
Yeah.
Yes, there was Somaliland at the top and north, and it was always there as well, but it was unified, and then obviously colonialism happened, split,
Yeah.
and then here we are today. And I feel like, a lot of the things that have happened is because of colonialism. Somalia was like a massive place. Like if you saw the map, like before, and now there's like 5 different regions or 6, I think. Yeah, it's like everyone just wants to be like, I'm from Puntland, I'm from Jubaland, I'm from this and that. There is no essence of unity at all. Like everyone is just claiming where they're from, which is like, okay, I get that, but it's like, what the hell?
Do you think it's
There's
almost
like eight, I think 7 or whatever different presidents. How can you have 7 presidents in a country? It's unheard of. But in Somalia there is.
So it's almost like taking a fish out of a pond and put him in the ocean. That's where we are, and we're all trying to be different tribes, and everyone else just sees us as Somalis. There's no point really.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. Whether you are, people are like, yeah, you're Somali. Like,
You're Somali,
you're not going to be like, yeah, where are you from? Oh, yeah, I'm Hawad, I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
No one's going to care. Even if they do know, they're like, you're Somali anyway.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
It doesn't matter. But it's us that are dividing within ourselves,
No, that's beautiful. So if I was to ask you now, what do you think we need to do better? I think we've come a long way. Somalis, the diaspora, I think we've come a very, very long way. Here, the only thing that I think is missing is we might be losing ourselves. And that's always
culture-wise.
Yeah, culture-wise. That's almost like Stockholm syndrome. We're starting to fall in love with the country that we came to in the beginning, which could be scary in a few years.
Yeah.
So what would you say we need to do better to try and tell our stories and try and change the misconception in a way?
Yeah, I would say everyone has their own way of trying to change the misconceptions. We have like people that are doing like writing, for example. That's way of trying to change the perception. There's people that are doing films, trying to change the perception. There was the movie that came out recently. I was invited to. I watched
it. Yeah, Gravedigger's Wife.
Gravedigger's Wife, exactly.
How was it?
It was a good movie. Yeah, it was a good movie, and it's very different to what you're seeing. It's I don't want to spoil it for you, but yeah, you should watch it.
Yeah, I'll give it.
So then he's trying to change the misconception, but we'll talk about what you think about it. So he's trying to change that misconception, and then there's also people that are doing photography, which is so many that are online doing it, and then there's people that are performing poetry as well. So everyone's trying to, like, in a way, if you think about it, so many people are doing so many different things.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone's having the same vision, which is to change the perception. At the end of the day, all of these things, okay, mashallah, probably, you are talented and you're hardworking and you're trying to merge them two together.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask all these people, they would say to you, I'm changing the perception, or I'm changing how people view us, essentially. That's what people are, that's what they would say.
So what if I was to be like devil's advocate here and say, why are we so interested to change how people view us? Why do we care so much about that?
I feel like we've been put into a corner, basically, at the end of the day, if you put an animal into a corner, at some point the animal's gonna come out, right?
Lashing, yeah.
So I feel like we're closer towards lashing out, but we are trying to change how people view us,
rather than lash out.
And start being violent and all that stuff and whatever. So it's about using your mind and using your head, and I feel like a lot of the time, changing the perception has to come through us, because non-Somalis have been changing the narrative.
Oh yeah.
So we've been forced to do that. Like, I feel that's one of the reasons why I decided to do this whole project, because while I was at uni and I was writing a paper, the supervisor at the time was like, why are you writing this particular topic? Why don't you talk about Al Shabaab? There's so many resources on it, and that made me pissed off to a new level. I was like, how is this Adan guy telling me
What to write about?
What to write about in my own country? That's when I was like, yeah, you know what? I have to change the narrative. I have to change the perception. At the time, I didn't know how. And then obviously, fast forward until today, 2022, it was because of this project.
No, lie. Hamid, we got, that was listen, it was an interesting, very, very interesting conversation.
Oh, thank you,
almost like therapy.
Yeah.
I'll consider telling my story if you ever come and knocking.
Of course, man. If you're willing to
open
up and be vulnerable.
You know what? I probably will. So, time's running out, man. So I need to tell everyone to, first of all, buy the book. It's on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description below. If you want to see his pictures, they were in the podcast. I'll put some more there, and I'll put some more there as well.
Yeah.
You want to look?
There, yeah.
No, thank you, man. It's very interesting speaking to Mohamed, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you,
Like
bro,
I said, thank you for coming down and telling your story and telling the story of all the women. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Can you give us the outro, please? Actually, I got a question. You've already answered the best advice you'd give to someone that wants to be an author and tell their story. What's the best advice you've ever been given, Mohamed?
Ever been given?
To do with this.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're gonna be thinking.
No,
you're gonna go back to your mum, obviously.
I would say the best advice that I've got was always get out of your comfort zone, because I'm from London. I'm born and raised in London, and I visited around 30 countries in my life.
MashaAllah.
So with these, like, the reason why I'm saying get out of your comfort zone is because the mindset that I have now wasn't the same when I started this project.
Yeah, of course.
I got to see so many different cultures. I got to see so many different things. I experienced different things as well. And because I got out of my area, my comfort zone, my friends, and I just, some of the places I went on my own, and I did that because I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and see how I would react and how I would feel if I were to do that. So, and I was told this like many years ago when I was young, to always get out of your comfort zone, to get out of your area. There's more to life than just being in your little box, the people that you hang around with all the time. There's more to life. The world is your oyster. You have to go and check out and see where things are, how people conduct things differently, their cultures, even like what they believe in, whatever it is, in whatever capacity. Because at the end of the day, you only have one life, and the best thing you can do is try to make the most of it. Try to not only earn, but to also create impact. So that was that's one advice that I've held on to for a while.
No, it's good. It's good advice. Yeah. So you started this without even. So now, what would you say if you left your comfort zone? Would you still do this?
If I left my comfort zone?
If you left your comfort zone, because you said you started this project before you left your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then after you traveled, you've come back with these stories.
Yeah.
What if you traveled everything? Would you still do this, or is there so much you've seen out there that you want to do way more?
That's a very good question. I think because I started this project before,
credit to you, by the way, for starting it before you even left your comfort zone and stuff.
I thought, because I wanted to change something about our country in a positive way, and when I traveled, it made me more motivated to do it. But so I would say the traveling and the experiences that I've had, it propelled me trying to do this project and to put all my efforts into it, because it was since I've got out of my comfort zone in traveling, in a way this is getting out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, of course.
Doing a project out of random, starting from nothing, all that stuff. Yeah, it is technically getting out of your comfort zone.
It is.
So then, because of what I experienced, this was like not a piece of cake, but because I went through hurdles going abroad and see different things and whatever. I was living in camps in Palestine, for example. Sometimes I wouldn't have water. I would travel to get it. So it made me understand what gratefulness is, gratitude and all that. Going through all that.
Yeah.
And then doing this.
It's the least.
Yeah. So I always try to get out of my comfort zone as much as I can, because you learn about yourself as you grow older.
Oh man, beautiful, man. Beautiful. I really enjoyed this, Mohamed. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you, man.
I'll put you on the spot one more time.
No problem.
And can you give us the outro, please?
Whoever is watching this, make sure you like and subscribe After Hours podcast on YouTube. Abu Bakr has been doing this, and he's trying to get so many different experiences and stories. Make sure you listen to it. And I'm so glad to be part of this journey. And like I said, make sure you like and subscribe. Yeah, man. Thanks a lot for tuning in, people. Like, subscribe, like he said. Comment down below if you want part 2. Listen, when you become... Because I think you're going places, man. Honestly, I'm rubbing shoulders with the greats here. You know what they say? Make friends with the great people. Nah, listen. This guy's going to go on to do wonderful things, I believe. So let's get behind him. Thank you for tuning in. Comment down below what you thought of the episode, and I'll put your Instagram for the Somali Sideways and also your personal one if you want. Yeah. I'll put it down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe, and share. Cheers. Hamid. Thank you, guys. Thanks, man. That was brilliant. Oh, thank you, bro. Thanks for coming down. My brother. Thank you, man.